Happy Tuesday, you guys. Thank you guys so much for being here. Today, we have a very, very special guest, Rebecca Zung. Welcome, Rebecca. Rebecca.
Hi, everybody.
Today, we want to actually teach you guys how to land more listings, right? Keep more money in your pocket, slay the bullies, right? Learn how to negotiate your way through life. And for all of those of you that are new, just some housekeeping really quickly. Please put your mics on mute, and we would love for you guys to be present. Having speakers like this is such a treat, and for Rebecca to connect with you guys on the level that she loves to connect, because she's a connector, I'm going to ask that you guys, if you can, give her that much respect and come on camera. Right? This is wonderful that we're all here. What I'd like you guys to do is put in the chat where you're from. Okay. And the second thing is what are you here for? What do you want to get out of this? Okay. And by the way, my name is Tanya Van Rickley, and I am a national real estate coach and team leader. We do these classes every classes like this every Tuesday. So if you need help with real estate or anything like that, just message me. We'll put the links there. But without further ado, I'd love to introduce you to Rebecca Zung. She is a top attorney in the United States. She is an author. She has a best-selling book on Amazon. She also has a new book, and I'm going to let her tell you more about that book. And ultimately, she is a woman that's going to teach you guys how to make more money. So, Rebecca, thank you so much for coming on, and tell us where you're also located.
Thank you, Tanya. I absolutely love connecting with you guys, and I love connecting with Tanya. I mean, we actually had an amazing conversation a couple of weeks ago. It's like the magical conversations, and I loved having a conversation with you. You are a powerhouse and absolutely fantastic. And so I would love to know, I see you guys are tuning in from all over. I see April from Atlanta, and I see Ryan from Littleton, Colorado, and I love seeing all of you guys. And I have some of my own slayers on here as well, which is super, super cool. So thank you guys all for being here and taking your time to spend a little bit of time with me. So I know some of you know me, some of you don't. My name is Rebecca Zung. I have been named a best lawyer in America by US News. I came up through the ranks as a high net worth divorce attorney, although I don't practice anymore. About 3 years ago, I started on YouTube. I started teaching people how to negotiate with narcissists during COVID. And how I started learning about narcissists is really, yes, by practicing law, but I actually had a narcissistic business partner about 4 years ago. And that was really when my life took a turn, and it caused me a lot of drama, trauma, and chaos. And I started diving into the world of learning about narcissists in a big time way, because it really kind of leveled me and caused me a lot of pain. And so I really realized that I could take what I was learning about narcissism and apply it to what I already knew about negotiation. I had actually already been the keynote speaker at the American Bar Association annual conference, and I had already written a book about negotiation at that point. And Robert Shapiro had written the foreword for my book on negotiation. And that was really, how I started applying what I was learning about narcissism to what I was learning about negotiation. And it was almost as if I had discovered penicillin and started seeing movement in my negotiations at that point. And so I started on YouTube about 3 years ago. I started teaching people how to negotiate with high conflict personalities. I now have about 40 million views on YouTube, and I have about 400,000 subscribers. I now have a brand new book coming out, Slay the Bully, How to Negotiate with a Narcissist and Win. It's coming out in October officially, but it's actually already hit #1 on Amazon 66 days prior to its actual release. Chris Voss wrote the foreword for my book. And so I do know a little something about how to negotiate with high conflict personalities. All right. So I know that you guys are in a situation right now where the market is tense and you guys are dealing with buyers who are thinking that they should be able to, have the pick. You guys have sellers who are feeling like, this is, a tense market as well. Interest rates are higher than they've been in a really, really long time. And you guys are stuck in the middle of all of this. And so I want to make sure that you come away today with something that is really going to help you. News that you can use. I have sat through, 1-hour conferences at my lunchtime, and I thought, what am I going to get from this? So I want to make sure that at the end of this, you have something that you can actually really apply, that you go, that was worth my while. I had something out of this that is, I'm going to remember for a really long time, and I'm going to be able to use this for a really long time. All right. So that's that, deal. All right. That's the deal. Give me a yes if that sounds amazing in the chat. All right. Yes. Yes. All right. So what I'm going to try to do, I'm actually normally in Los Angeles, but I go back and forth between Florida and Los Angeles. It's sort of like a little bit of a hurricane and, tornadoes going on over here in Florida right now. So this is kind of fun. And I've also, I'm on a laptop over here. So I'm going to try to share my screen and hopefully, not mess things up over here. I've got Anna Mae Larson, who's on my team over here. She's freaking amazing, and she helped me put this together. So I want to make sure that I introduce her because she is the bomb. So she's here. Oh, and Carrie Green is from my team is here too. So she is also amazing. And then I have some of my master high conflict negotiation coach candidates here as well, and they are fantastic also. So I just all right, so let me see if I can share my screen, and hopefully this will work the way that I want it to. Let's see if I can do this. Hold on. Let's see.
We just roll with that. We roll.
Yeah, let's see if this works the way I want it to. Oops, that did not work. Now I'm just sharing something that says Zoom. Hold on. Let's see. Hold on. Because normally when I'm at home, I've got a couple of different screens going here. So hold on, let me see.
Couldn't be any worse than me this morning. We had to change computers.
Yeah.
But we made it work. We made it work. This is part of remote, right? Life is life.
Rebecca, I was in your shoes a couple of weeks ago, and I was switching from being a Mac user for years to a PC and trying to navigate. It was awkward, but we see your screen now.
All right, so you see me
Good.
now. Okay, we got it over here, right? So we've got, there we go. There we go. All right, so this is there we go. So as I said to you, you're going to get, my promise to you today is I'm going to give you simple strategies so that you can actually start earning more money and keeping more money. All right. And they work for buyers, listing agents, buyers agents, attorneys, and narcissists and high conflict personalities of any kind. And I want you to know this works not just from theory, but actually from experience. And as you know, a man with experience is never at the mercy of a man with an opinion. And I just wanted to give you a little bit of my background. I always joke that I'm half Chinese and half German, and which means I have no fun genes whatsoever, of course. And I graduated second in my class from high school. So it was kind of starting off okay, but then I got married at 19. That was my version of sort of rebelling. And I had 3 babies by the time I was 22. This was me. I always feel like I look like the babysitter over here, right? I look like I was 12. And then I got divorced in my 20s still. And I was a single mom, a young single mom, when I decided to finish college and then go back to law school when I was still in my 20s. I went to University of Miami at night when they still had a law school at night, which they don't even have anymore, but they still had that. And I went 100% on student loans, like both to live on and to for school. Like I literally, when I graduated, I still, I had 100,000 in student loans. So, I definitely understand, struggle. And so I went from this to this. I have, all the accolades that you can have as a lawyer. Best lawyer in America, U.S. News, Florida Trends, Legal Elite, Avo rated 10 out of 10. And I've been on Extra many times. I used to be their commentator for whenever divorces would break. Dr. Drew, I've been quoted in Time, Forbes, Newsweek, Huffington Post. I'm AV rated by Martindale-Hubbell, all of that. And I tell you all of this because I still dealt with a narcissist after all of this. Okay. So I tell you all of this because I know what it's like to deal with high conflict personalities and bullies. And, so I know how it is. Okay. And, I understand that for you guys, you want solutions. And the important thing for you is to keep your focus on that solution. Because the more that you can keep your focus on that solution, the faster you can go from where you are at times to where you want to be, which is to get that deal done. And I think a lot of times, yes, procuring that listing is really, really important. But the hard work for you guys, a lot of times, is keeping that deal together. And that's really the skill. That's really the skill for you guys. I mean, my mom was a real estate broker. My mom actually owned a real estate company the whole time I was growing up. She had like 60 agents working for her. And I remember the late nights of those deals falling through, and especially like, the inspections, and like somebody sees a crack on the wall or whatever, and that's it. I don't want this house anymore, whatever. And so the skill for you guys is holding those deals together. And, a lot of times you are really becoming high conflict resolution specialists is really the skill of what you guys are procuring. And you don't even realize that. I mean, you think you're just, going into real estate and you're going to sell houses and that sort of thing at the beginning. But the core of this, at the core of this, you guys are dispute resolution specialists. That's what you are. And what you're doing is you're dealing with, you know, not just the agent on the other side, but you're really trying to get the agent on the other side a lot of times to manage their client as well. And so there's a lot at stake for you. And so the more that you can be highly skilled at all of that, the better it's going to be for all of you. And so I get all of this because I dealt with this as a lawyer too. You know, in my deals, I had the same thing. I had an opposing counsel, and that opposing counsel had to manage their client. It was very, very similar situation. I've totally been where you are. And so I can tell you that the more that you can, you know, get to where you want to be and be on the other side of this, you will be so much in a better position and hold those deals together and make more money. And I've totally been there, and I can tell you that it's doable. I'm living proof. You can turn the tide. You can do it and make it possible. And imagine that you can communicate with these people in a way that allows you to feel powerful. And instead of them dominating and twisting every conversation and leaving you in feeling like, you know, you're going to be at the effect of them twisting everything and feeling like, oh my God, if this deal doesn't work, what's going to happen? If it slips through the cracks and they're disrespecting you, you could actually be the one in control of the conversation. You're the one who is managing it so that you end up feeling dominated. I mean, you end up feeling like respected and valued and honored, and setting yourself up so that nothing and no one can ever infringe on that. Does that sound amazing? Give me a yes in the chat. All right. So here's what's happening when you're dealing with high conflict individuals. They gaslight you, they blame shift, they isolate you, they have a lack of empathy. This is what's going on all the time, right? And I just wanted to give you, you know, what's going on. You're either for them or against them. They see things in black and white. There's two forms of narcissistic supply, by the way. There's diamond level supply, which is how they look to the world. And this is what feeds their ego. And then there's coal level supply, which is controlling you, manipulating you, and making you squirm. All right. And you have to think about these two things at all times. People think they just want to win, but that's not necessarily true. They also enjoy the process of controlling you. And that's why they constantly gameplay. That's why they constantly move goalposts. That's why you can't get deals done necessarily sometimes. All right, because you're dealing with that as well. All right, and their brain. And I want to explain this because I figured this out when I was doing my research, that during childhood, they were exposed to trauma. When we are dealing with situations when we're in fight or flight, we actually, and I was just stop this sharing for a second. I want to explain this to all of you. When we are in fight or flight as humans, we actually have chemicals that are dumped into our body, you know, adrenaline and things like that, right? We start sweating, you know, so that we can run faster, be stronger. When this happens to us as children on a regular basis, it actually causes arrested development in our brains, or in a narcissist brain. And so the limbic system part of their brain actually becomes, has arrested development. And so when narcissists are actually presented with stimuli that causes them to feel like they need to be in survival mode again, it causes them to be triggered. And so when that happens, and it doesn't necessarily have to be rational or reasonable to us, it is to them. So when that happens, they go back, that limbic system part of their brain, that emotional center part of their brain becomes activated. And so now you're interacting with that part of their brain. That's that black and white that I talk about. That's that narcissistic injury. And when that happens, you're not dealing with rational. You're not dealing with reasonable. You're dealing with that. And so you cannot expect them to be rational or reasonable at that time. And they may not even necessarily remember how they acted during that time. So you cannot interact with them in the same way. You have to interact with them in a different way. And that's why I'm going to be giving you some tools today that will help you. Because when you try to overlay, being reasonable, and you expect them to act the same way that you would act, you'll be frustrated every single time. Does this make sense? Give me a yes in the chat. All right, yeah. Dee Dee says yes. Michelle says yes. All right. All right. So, let me go back to here. Right. Find my Zoom over here. And then let me go back. Okay. So now all right. So the way that I think that it's best to deal is I give you 3 steps. A power switch in 3 steps. Step 1, don't run. Step 2, make a U-turn. Step 3, break free. I think it's best to do it in baby steps, because this way you're not going, how do I deal with this all at once? All right. So, and it's part of my overall SLAY method, which is, I explain it more in my book. That's coming out soon, which you can go to slaythebully.com and pre-order it. If you pre-order it, by the way, you get access to the manuscript right away. And you get access to my launch team and all kinds of really cool things, which, by the way, we're going to talk about some really cool stuff that's coming up with that here in a minute. But so this is part of the overall SLAY methodology, which is strategy, leverage, anticipate, and focus on you. So step 1, don't run. This is where you stop walking backwards. You stop, feeling uncomfortable. Small changes. All right. So boundaries. The first boundary you can do is start, insist on being respected when you're spoken to. So one of the things that you can do, it also is making sure that you have a form of communication that you can document, and making sure that you confirm everything in writing. Even if you just write back and say, listen, we just had a conversation, and here's what we talked about. Please make sure that you do that. Please make sure that you do that. you know, I cannot tell you how many times you need to do that. And I'm going to give you some phrases that you can use as well. So you're just, as you know, you're just one form of just starting to have some boundaries. You know, there's a old phrase that says, if you want to stop being a doormat, get up off the floor. You know, so just starting to just say, listen, I that approach is not working for me, or something like that. So here's some phrases that you can use when bullies disrespect you. All right. I agree with you. I can see that you're upset. Your approach is not working for me. You can just say, okay, but say nothing, and don't take their bait. If you want to engage with me in conversation, you're going to have to remain calm, factual, and non-emotional. I'm choosing not to respond to that. You know, it's just insisting that they respect you when they speak to you. You can use these in emails, you can use these in texts, you can use these when they're speaking to you. Okay. Step 2, make a U-turn. Start shifting that dynamic of power. You're basically completely course correcting so that you're taking control to shift that dynamic of power. All right. Is this helpful, guys, so far? This phrase is helpful? You know, and like another one is like, if they say something that's like super, you know, really, you know, nasty or whatever, and you just say, that's really interesting feedback. Thank you. Okay, here's another one. So making a plan, Stan. When you go to meet with them, have an agenda and a plan, or a plan and a time limit, and making sure that they know about it in advance. So you know what the scope is. So here's what we're going to discuss, and here's the time limit. So making sure that they know if it goes beyond that scope, no, we're not talking about all of these other things today. We're talking about this today, and that's it. Nothing else. Okay? Because you know what bullies will do? They'll try to bring in 1,500 things to confuse you, to destabilize you, to bully you. You say, no, we're not talking about all these different things today. We're talking about this today. All right. So when it goes beyond the scope, when it goes beyond that time limit, you just respectfully state, no, this is it. Or if it goes beyond the time limit, just say you have another commitment. This is you taking control. This is you walking forward. This is you not walking backward. Does this make sense? All right. The next one is just the facts. All right. So one of the hardest things to do is like staying like not triggered, right? Because they try to trigger you constantly. Once they know like what your Achilles heels are, they will constantly try to bait you and trigger you, right? So what just the facts is like, be informative, but don't add anything emotional. Don't be accusatory. Don't be inflammatory. It's almost like reporting the news. I always say, like, sort of like pretend like you're reporting the news. Never explain, justify, or overshare. All right. So the next one is what I call the middle finger. Hopefully it's okay that I have like a little bit of a bad word on this. So this one actually comes from when I was a baby lawyer. I actually had this lawyer that I worked for who had this beautiful way of responding. Like people would, this was back in the dark ages, when people would actually lawyers would actually write letters to each other. And like lawyers would actually write these long letters to each other. And this one lawyer that I would know would actually on letterhead respond back, "Dear so-and-so, no, sincerely, so-and-so." It was like the best ever. It was like, so, it's sort of like that because it's like so much of an FU in a lot of ways, because they want you so bad to be baited. They are dying. You know what they do? They go fishing. They go, and they go reeling. They're like, they want to hook you in your, like, they want like that. You end up with a hook in your mouth because they're dying for you to come in. And they send long things, but you do not need to respond to all of it. You do not. Okay. So you just need to look through and you just need to respond to only what you need to respond to. Okay. So you can just say, "I'm in receipt of your correspondence. I deny whatever. And we can meet at 3 o'clock on Wednesday," or whatever. You don't even need to say that much half the time. Right? Does this make sense? Helpful? Good? Yes? Is this powerful? I have actually so much more in my Slay program, like including actual phrases, real emails, all that good stuff. That's just why I've literally sold like 7,000 of my Slay programs to people all over the world. I told you, this is not theory. This stuff actually works. This is good stuff. All right. And I have a gift for you, my free Crush My Negotiation prep worksheet. This is a free 15-page ebook. You can get it either, you can go to winmynegotiation.com, which you can get it for free there, or there's a QR code if you'd like. Remember, respond, don't react. Never defend yourself. The minute you start defending yourself, you're in it. You're giving them validation. The minute you start defending yourself, "That's not true. I did this. I just that, you don't need to defend yourself. Who the heck are they? Right? Don't go down the path. All right. Get it? Helpful? All right. Step 3, break free. This is where you start walking forward. You're presenting offers. You're reclaiming your sense. This is, you. All right. Fluff for favor, vomit later. High conflict personalities, bullies, they want to be fluffed up. They want to be told, like, "You're so great. You're amazing. You're so smart. You're so brilliant. Whatever." You're fluffing up their ego like you fluff up a pillow. That's okay. You're just giving them a little of that diamond level supply that they love in the form of adulation. And you get this in exchange for something that you want in return. "Oh my goodness, you are so much better at filling out that contract than I am. Why don't you go ahead and fill it out first? Let them do all the work." Right? So what? You fill it out. "Oh my God, you're so much better at it than I am." And then I'll just look it over after, so what? Let them do, something, and then you use it sparingly, you use it strategically, and then if you have to go shower or vomit later, that's okay, right? This is why I call it fluff or favor, vomit later. It's ethically manipulating the manipulator. And there's so many different ways that you can do it, but it definitely works. Just remember, here's what's negotiable: contracts, issues, terms. What's never negotiable is your self-worth, your self-respect, or who you are. And if you can remember that, it's easy. Does that make sense? So remember, people will think what you tell them to think. So I've got a great story for you. I was a lawyer for about 8 years at this one point, and then I had been a financial advisor at Morgan Stanley for about 2 or 3 years, and then I had been asked, and then I had been a friend of mine had decided to go and move away, and she had a law practice, a small law practice, that she decided that she was just going to basically give me. And so she said, hey, do you want my law practice? And it was like 12 clients or something. And she said, you know, if you want, I'll give you these clients. And, you know, it was an opportunity for me to go ahead and you know, have a runway to start a law practice. But then I thought, okay, now I have to go back into law. And so I was like living in Naples, Florida at the time. And I thought, all right, now the people of Naples, Florida, which is an affluent community, were going to have seen me go from law into financial advising and then back into law. And I was very, very concerned that I was going to be seen as a flake, because I had changed careers now like 3 times in the space of like 4 years, and a very affluent community. And so I had said to my business coach at the time, who's, you know, amazing, and she's still, you know, one of my best friends and one of the most brilliant people that I know, and still somebody that I go to a lot for, you know, advice. But this was, you know, a while back. I said to her, I said, oh, these people are going to see me as such a flake. And so I said, I just don't know what to do. And she said to me, people will think what you tell them to think. She said, you can tell them to think that you're a flake, or you can tell them to think that you are the only attorney in town who has a financial background. Which story would you like to tell? And I was like, well, maybe I'll tell that story. And so I decided to go with that. And within a couple of years, I had the top family law practice basically in the state. I was representing billionaires and celebrities and all kinds of people, and people who very clearly were not going to be hiring a flake. Let's put it that way. People will think what you tell them to think. You and you alone define your value. And this is such an important point, because it's not just for this situation. In any situation, when it comes to high conflict personalities, your aura precedes you. How you carry yourself is one of the most important ways that you will be able to communicate how people treat you. And if you stand in your power, if you decide who you are in the transaction, people will respect you more. High conflict personalities, bullies, they're definitely way more afraid of you than you are of them. And, you know, there's something that I heard when I saw Carolyn Miss being interviewed by Oprah one time, where she said, and about life in general, she said, we are at this as human beings, this sort of spoiled thought process where we think that we shouldn't have problems as human beings. We think, who am I? How come I have problems? I don't think I should have problems. Well, we all have problems, right? And so that's kind of the thing with realtors too, and with lawyers, you know, that's the job, right? That's the role. And the more you can be good at and skilled at being good at high conflict resolution and dispute resolution and standing in your power, the more you will be seen as that powerful person. And I'm talking about authentic power, deciding who you are before you go into that conversation, sort of pre-framing it. You deciding what your value is. All of these bullies, their power is counterfeit power. It's not true power. The reason why they push people around and all of that is because they think that they can. But the more that you decide how it's going to go ahead of time, the more you'll see how it'll go the way you have pre-framed it to go. And these are just a couple of my former clients. If you don't know where to go or feel stuck, dealing with a narcissist has been a scary road, but Brett Slay has had has given me the right mindset and tools to be prepared. After getting your information, Rebecca has turned a corner. Everything changed for me. So I want you guys to come and join us for a virtual event. This is my launch party. So, this is going to be like so much fun. So much fun. Anime and I have been planning this like all weekend long. We've literally been like basically having a dance party like all weekend long, planning this thing. So this is going to be, oh, it says Saturday, September 27th. It should say September 30th. I just see that it says the wrong date up there. It should say Saturday, September 30th. Come and bring your friends. It's going to be at 9 a.m. And if you bring 5 friends, you will actually get 2 unpublished chapters to my book, and which will be really cool. And this is going to be the event of the century. We're going to have like a party that's going to be virtual. And like, I think, you know, anime has come up with all kinds of really cool tiers. Like if you bring 10 friends, there's more fun things. And if you bring 25 friends or something. she can announce it, but super fun things. And then if you would like to have a free consultation with one of our incredible Slay consultants, including Anna Mae and Carrie, who's on here, to connect with our team further, we have free 30-minute consultations. We have those available there too. So you can either go to rebeccazung.com/connect. And that's, or you can do the QR code there. And this is how you can follow me. And remember, you and you alone define your value. People will think what you tell them to think. Set the world on fire. Find those who fan your flame. That is a quote from Rumi. One of my favorite quotes. Don't seek out people who are going to pour water on your fire. Seek those who are going to fan your flames. So I tried to leave enough time for some questions.
First of all, I just want to say, Rebecca, thank you so much for that. You know, we are in a skills-based market and order taking is over. Okay. So we talk about a lot of skills in real estate, you know, the skills of going to get the listing and doing a buyer presentation and all these things. But this is the #1 skill you guys need to learn. Okay. Because you all think that you need to learn how to get the listing, but it's actually the listing agent and the other agents and your lenders, right? The bullies have to do with a lot of different people. And when you can, like Rebecca was saying, keep your focus on the solution, right? At the end of the day, we all want to close the deal. But one thing that I see is real estate agents get crazy, right? They freak out and they get crazy and the deal falls apart. But exactly what she's saying, you got to stay in your confidence and you have to be skillful in communicating with the bullies. So who has questions for Rebecca? Anybody?
Yeah, I mean, like what she is saying is the more you can be solution-based, the more you can be skilled at keeping this deal together, it will actually be commensurate with earning more and keeping more. I mean, it's actually exactly going to map your income. You know, this is like a it's exactly commensurate, because the more you can master this skill, the more you will be able to keep in your pocket. The real skill comes when that contract gets signed. I mean, almost anybody can go take a real estate, exam and pass that, right? I mean, the bar to entering into the real estate field is not that high. The real skill comes when that contract is signed and keeping that deal together. And that's where you get to prove your value and you get to prove who you are as a realtor. And the more you can do that, that's when you get the referrals. That's when you get to say, hey, that person was skilled. That person really knew what they were doing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, Rebecca, we had a couple of training classes ago with Chris Heller, the former CEO of Keller Williams. And in one of his books, or one of his chapters, is just be unattached to the outcome, because your client is the buyer and the seller. Your job is help negotiate them. It's not your house. You're not buying the house, right? So how do you feel about that phrase, being unattached to the outcome?
I think that that is always something that you can attach to any kind of negotiation in a lot of ways, because the more you can be unattached to an outcome, the more leverage you're always going to have in any kind of a negotiation, right? You know, I mean, because the more emotional you get in any kind of a negotiation, the less leverage you're going to have.
Love it.
Right.
April has a question, and then Chris Nolan after April.
So I don't actually have a question, but I wanted to speak into some of what Rebecca shared. I actually followed steps that you shared, Rebecca, without knowing what I was doing. But it was because I was demanding my respect and dealing with my own client. And I had to side, and with me making sure that I demand my respect in writing and kept a paper trail of pretty much everything. It literally silenced him when I took all permission away from him as far as speaking with me. It was like, as a matter of fact, sir, from this day moving forward, if there's anything you'd like to share with me, have your partner address me. And he just backed down and he was silent throughout the rest of the deal. We did get to the closing, but I just wanted to speak into just saying it actually worked. I didn't know what I was doing other than, sir, who do you think you're talking to? But anyway, that's it. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. Fantastic.
Chris Nolan.
Yeah, I just wanted to add to that, this works in all categories. I mean, I used a lot of this stuff in my previous career. I was in law enforcement before. So absolutely use these tactics to control the situation. And for anybody that wants to practice, we used to run these drills at car dealers because they're so over aggressive. You use the same tactics to calm them down. And for anybody who wants to practice, I'm more than willing to do some practice with everybody.
I'd love to hear that. And, in my master high conflict negotiation certification training, we're doing the exact same thing. And we actually are doing role plays and that sort of thing. It absolutely does work. As I said, I have, more than 7,000 reviews of it. This is not theory. It does work. So thank you, Chris, for sharing that, or Christopher. I really, really appreciate that. Thank you. Oh, thank you for sharing that. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Looks like Ray Joseph has a question.
And hello, Ray.
Hey, how you doing?
One of my favorite people.
Good to see you again.
Hey, thank you for being here.
Oh, it's great. I mean, this is not limited to real estate. This is life skills. We deal with everything. And, I found, that if I can de-escalate situations in real estate and document the process and all that, it works really well. In one sale I had, the listing or the buyer's agent brought in 1 million inspectors. I looked at the buyer and said, sometimes the inspections cost more than the repair. And the fireplace guy goes, well, you need to put a little mortar between the bricks. And then the buyer goes, and how much is that? She goes, the guy goes, $200. The inspection was $350. Then the buyer looked at me, then the mold inspector goes, well, you got a little mold here. And it was like this big. And they go, how much? Then they looked at their agent. They go, how much does mold inspection cost? $1,200. They go, we'll deal with it. It's really funny. And I have an idea for you. On your book, why don't you make a children's book?
Oh, that is absolutely in the pipeline.
Because
it's one
teaching
of the
kids
next
how to
things.
deal with conflict and the bullies and everything else, that would be a great way of doing it.
For sure. Yes.
Again, the life lessons. My way of doing it is I taught my kid, just joke back. The last one to be funny wins.
Yeah, it's definitely one of the next things in the pipeline for sure. Yeah.
Great. Well, thank you. This has been useful.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for coming. I'm totally shaming Will for not coming, that you came and he did not.
I know. Well, yeah, I'll be doing that too.
Thank you. Thank
Well,
you.
Rebecca, we are at 1 minute. We want to respect your time and wanted to thank you so much for coming on. Everybody go out and order the book, sign up for her Saturday class. And if people can't make your Saturday class, of course, they can sign up and they can have a free consultation with you. Do you have any other programs that right now that you know that people would be interested in, or do we just go to your email list?
I would say, you know, they can go to slayyournegotiation.com and check those out as well. I mean, but if they go to do the free consult, any of our slay specialists can let them know about the whole suite of everything. So, you
Love
know, I would say just definitely do that.
Well, thank you so much. This was
Thank
wonderful.
you.
I think you gave us all some things to empower us. You guys take 1 or 2 things and start working it on your partners right now. Maybe your husband, your wife, your kids, maybe your transactions. So go ahead and slay your day. I like that.
Yeah, thank you. And thank you, Tanya, for giving me the opportunity. You totally rock. And thank you, Anna Mae, for, you know, setting this up for me with Tanya. You guys.
Thank
are
you.
amazing.
And you guys, a little bit of fun fact, Anna Mae and I are really good friends, introduced me to Rebecca, and I've been hearing about her for years. And turns out Rebecca's best friend, a boy best friend, is my son's best friend. Like best
Like
friend.
the whole universe put this whole thing together. It's like mind blowing. Like my mind was blown for like 2 days after, like in such a crazy way.
And then all of a sudden we started sending pictures back of one of my dear friends. I'm like, here's me with her.
It was
So
like
life
crazy.
is good. I'm
Crazy,
so
crazy,
excited.
crazy. Yeah.
I love it. All right, Rebecca, have a good day and I hope you guys, why don't you guys text me? Here's my ask from you all that I have emailed you or you're on my list right now. Take 5 minutes and text me what your takeaways were. And I'm going to send these back to Rebecca. What were your biggest takeaways? And if you're not on my text list, email me and say, this was my best takeaway. I would love to give that back to her.
All right.
Nice.
Thank you all. Slay the rest of your day. God bless you.
I want a t-shirt with that slogan.
Oh, well, there's a way that you can get it. Invite like a bunch of your friends to the event and we're giving away free stuff. So we've got
Nice.
all kinds of free merch if you invite your friends. So
Sounds amazing. Thank you, Rebecca.
all right. Thank you.
Bye guys. Take care.